I'm back, and today I thought I'd do a new series of videos, and this one I'm gonna call Breakdown, I guess. And so basically, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to break down how I wrote a song. So recently, I did a contest, and in this contest, they gave you a video, which you can see partially here, and then you have to score it. If you haven't seen my version, look at the link. It should be on the screen here someplace, and you can click on it and check it out. It's only 1 minute long, so it's not like some long listen, but you can see what I did. And if you're interested, come back here and let's talk about how I did it. First things first, what I did when I made this is first I watched the video and I tried to come up with an idea of what it was supposed to be. I thought this is kind of like a nice summer scene, so I thought something that would go well with this would be like something slightly acoustic and not something so driving. So I didn't really want like a rock band. I didn't want anything like techno or hip hop. I wanted something, light like you'd see on a commercial. It reminded me of like one of those videos like come to Bali or visit Hawaii. So I wanted that kind of feel to it. So one of the first things I did after I had the initial idea of the instrumentation and that kind of thing was I thought I need something repetitive that kind of builds with time, and I need something happy. So I started coming up with chord progressions, and the first thing I thought is like I need something major, like a major key. And so what I came up with is just a 1-4-1-5 chord progression in the key of E. So it's like this. I hope you can hear that acoustic guitar playing there. So that's what I came up with, but that's really boring. And actually, in this song, I don't play this on acoustic at all. And I thought, this is going to kind of be boring if I just play that, over and over again. I could, strum it different ways and come up with rhythms, but I thought, what, a riff would be a little bit more interesting. So that's where I started to try to get a little bit more creative. So with that, I thought I want kind of like a riff, but not down low. I want something up high. So I went to the 12th fret on the E string, and I decided, I'm going to arpeggiate things, but not in the normal way. I'm going to kind of change the arpeggio into a riff. So I came up with this. So on the high E string, I'm playing an E. And then on the B string, I'm playing a G sharp. So where that comes from is the E is obviously the root of E major, and the G sharp is the third. And then I do the same thing for the next chord, which is A major. So instead of, moving my hand down, all I do is I move the note on the B string from a G sharp to an A. So it goes from this to this, and then back to E. So this gives it kind of like a nice voice leading feel, like the notes aren't moving too much, and the E is there the whole time. And then for the next chord, which is the B major, I try to do the same thing. I try to move the voices or move my fingers as little as possible. So for that one, instead of playing E on the high E string, I play a D sharp, and then I play a F sharp. So let me move forward here, and I'll show you what it sounds like in the context of a song, or in the song, I should say. Here we go. Okay, so you can see how it goes, and that repeats through the whole track, basically. So that was my initial idea. But there's some things that didn't really fit. Like, one is you'll probably notice one problem I have is like obviously the cuts don't stay in the same tempo. The cuts were just made randomly, and so I had to figure out, like how do I get this to stay in tempo? So basically what I did, if you look at the very first part of the video here, I decided this first part here with the sunrise, it looks nice, but I was like, if I try to match it to that, the tempo's going to be off. So I decided, what, I should kind of just do like an intro there. And basically what I did is I just took a distorted guitar chord, I just played it. I don't even know what I did. Maybe it's an E power chord. I don't know. And I just played it, and then I kind of fade it in here. So if you look here on this, I call this track FX because this is just like random FX that I put in there. And so you can see I faded it in. It's a just distorted guitar chord. I'll let you hear it one more time. And then I go into the song. And so one thing that's really useful and that I hadn't used before was this feature of Sonar. It's basically you put your cursor wherever it is. So what I did before I actually recorded anything is I went through here, and when I saw the cuts, I would stop like as close as I can to the actual cut. And then if I right click, it has something like set measure bar at now. And so I go there, this comes up, and it says, okay, like what measure is it? And you can choose the measure, like 3, and is it beat 1? Is it beat 2, 3, 4, etc.? And then you click OK, and it lines everything up, and it matches the tempo. So that's one really cool thing that I didn't know about and worked really well. So that way everything is lined up. When I was recording with the metronome, it didn't go off. So like, that was really good. And also all the virtual instruments, all the MIDI stuff synced up too. So that was really cool, and it was really useful to me. If you haven't used that, you might try using it. It's good for scoring things. I think I'll probably try to use it more in the future. So that was really good. And everything lined up for the most part. I had to do a few of these cuts because I didn't try to hit every single beat or cut, I should say, because it's a little bit difficult. But I did try to do as many as I could. I didn't try to go too far off, so I'll let you hear it here. Okay, so you can see what happened, and if you look here, you'll see there's different tempos. So like here, right here, it's 123. Here it's 119. I think earlier it's a different tempo. Yeah, 116. So it's kind of speeding up here, and you can kind of hear it also. But that's how I made it fit. Another thing is at the very beginning, I just used shakers. I'm using this program. It's great. It's called Geist 2. If it comes up here, there you go. Ooh. My computer is about to kill me with all these programs running at the same time. Basically, that's where I have it going, and as I see here, it has lots of different engines, and you can put different things on here. It has too many engines, actually. There's lots of stuff I can do. But if you look here, I have different sounds like this. So I have all sorts of different sounds. I have the shakers on this engine. Next one I have a cajon, or whatever you call it. It's that big wooden box you hear people sitting on. Like people sit on this wooden box and they hit it with their hands like. I'm doing that with my guitar, but whatever. That's what that thing is, the cajon or whatever. And I also have, on another one, I have a few other things. What is this? I have a kick and some tambourines and slaps and things, which I don't even remember what I use that for, but let's get to that later. So the shakers, it's fairly simple. It's just a pattern like this. If you look here, that's the pattern with my shakers. I just copied and pasted it. I think I made them slightly different tempos on each side, so you can see here at the very bottom. I did that. And I also randomized a few of the hits, because if the velocity is the same, it sounds kind of robotic, so I randomized it, and then I kind of did some stuff by hand, so it seemed a little bit more random, just so it doesn't sound so mechanical. I think it always sounds better. I mean, if you don't know, like, you can just highlight things like this, and then go in here like MIDI plugins, and it'll have something like velocity. It's like, oh, you can randomize it, you can change it, you can scale it, all these types of things. And I like to do that, and then afterwards, listen to it and then go through it, by hand, because there's usually like one or two that's like, oh, that sounds bad. So you have to kind of fix it. But that's basically what I did with this. And so that's the first part. Let me go back here. The next part is, let's see. I get into a part where like the tempo starts to change a bit. Let me make this window smaller. It's taking up all my room. I can't even see what I'm doing. Okay. So it gets to this part here, and then I noticed there's like a part where there's too many bars. Like the bar is going like 5/4 bars or something. There's a 5/4, like 6/4. But anyways, it didn't fit up correctly. So I thought, you know what? I'll just use this part as a little like break. And I took a drum sample, I believe this is, and I played it backwards, so you can hear it here. Okay. Let's see. I'll try to solo that, and I'll show it to you non-reversed, so you can actually hear what it sounds like. Here we go, reverse. Okay, here's what it sounds like normally. Yeah, I like that sound, but it didn't really fit with the piece, so I just took it and I made it backwards, and it comes in and it makes that swelling sound. So that's one thing I did. And then after that, as you notice, the diver kind of goes in the water. It's like a bus here, and then the diver falls in the water. For that, I wanted to have like a sound like somebody's diving in the water. So what I did was I basically took Synthmaster and I made kind of like a 808 type sound. It's just basically a sine wave dropping, going doo. So I'll let you hear the whole thing from the reverse drum into the sine wave. Here we go. Okay, and then it goes back into the same thing before, only this time I added a few more things. Like I added this cajon thing, and I added some heavier percussion. Like I added what is it? I can't remember. Tambourine and a bass drum. Jeez, I'm forgetting the word tambourine. So that's what I added to this part. I'll let you hear it just soloed by itself. I'll let you hear the shakers, and then I'll add in the cajon and the tambourines. Okay, so there you go. My computer skipped there. I didn't actually program it with those kind of skips in there. That's my computer breaking down with all the recording software and video recording software going. So that's what I did for that, and that's basically what I did for the percussion. I kept the guitars going, and I added a bass part here too. So that kind of like built everything up. The first part is really light. It's just guitar and that shaker. But then I, dropped the bass in. Nothing, outrageous there. Just normal type of stuff. It's just kind of 4-on-the-floor pop rock bass, playing the root. And then one other thing I did is I added the mangle here. So many of you may not know this, but this is a granular synthesizer. And so basically what I did is I made samples of 3 notes using my guitar. And then I put them in here, and then this plays this very strangely. So you can see the sample here, but like this point here is the sample start. And if I push this down, each one of these little balls, that's actually the sample. So the y-axis is the amplitude, so how loud it is. And then you see some going forward and some going backwards. Some of the sounds are actually playing backwards, so you can kind of hear it kind of like a weird pad type sound. That one's only going forward. And so I used 3 different samples. Nothing much to it. As you see here, like the grain envelope, I turned the attack up. So that's why you don't hear that like plucking sound. So that's that. This is a really cool synthesizer. You can do all sorts of things. I just named this clean guitar pad, but you can do all sorts of cool things with it. But that's what I did with it in this case. So I'll let you hear it as it plays through the song. And I'm just outlining those chords I said from before, like E major, A major, E major, B major. Here. Also, this is one of the funnest synths to watch. It looks really nice when the GUI and watching it. Anyways, so that's enough of that. And that's basically it until you get to the very end. So here I added in a guitar part and a vocal part here. It's just quick, part where I sing and, play guitar. Here we go. Okay, so that's easy enough. I'm just, singing and doubling my singing with my guitar. My wife actually thought that was some woman singing on there, but it's actually me. It doesn't sound that great, but let's go over now some of the other stuff. So now that you've seen like how I did it and how I arranged it, I'll show you some effects I did. So for Geist, which is all the percussion stuff, I'm using this, which is really cool and fairly cheap. I think it's like $25 compressor. I use that on my drum bus just to give it a little bit more oomph. I'll see if you can hear the difference. I'll put it on, solo it without. So that just kind of brings it a little bit more in your face, which I liked. I wanted it a little bit more forward. And I'm using this to cut out some of the extreme lowland. I don't want any of that rumble there. I put a little bit of resonance in there so it gives it a little bit more, like oomph on the bottom end. I'm cutting out some of the boxiness here. And then up top, I think it was just kind of getting in the way of some of the other instruments, so I wanted to bring down some of the presence. So that's what I did for my percussion. For my guitar, as always, I use S-Gear. I think this was just a factory preset, to be honest. I don't think I did anything to this. I think this is just Tweed Heaven, the preset, put it on there, and that was that. Equalizer, I didn't do too much. Sometimes I want to get like some of that low end out. I don't like lots of that rumbly low end, because if you have that, even if you can't really hear it, it just builds up over time. So I should clean that out. And then the high end, I didn't want too much of that like ping ping sound, that stringy, like the pick hitting the string sound. So I used a low pass filter, except I use a 6 decibel per octave low pass filter, which is a really weak one. So it just cleans it out a little bit on the top. Let's see here for the bass. I use this. If you haven't seen my video, check it out. This is about how to fake a bass guitar using your guitar. So I just did that same trick. I played my guitar, playing the bass part. I used Sonar to drop it down an octave, and then I used this. So I'll show you with nothing on it how the bass sounds. Here we go. So as you can hear, that's a big difference. This, I just kind of put a bump there, and I cut it out so it wouldn't interfere with the bass drum. And then I put the little resonance bump there to give it a little bit more something. And then I just use the bass driver to compress it a bit so it's more even. I think here, this is the Mangle, that synthesizer I showed you before. Let me show you what it sounds like without anything. It has a really annoying resonance. You hear that with that annoying sound here, that number 4, that's cutting that out. So I'll let you hear it, what it's doing. Here we go. So you can hear that really annoying tone, so I just cut that out. And then I used Acon Digital, which is a really cool chorus plugin. This actually sounds really good, but I'm using it kind of subtly here, but I'll show you what I'm doing. Yeah, so all I wanted to do with that was I just wanted to make it like more stereo and give it kind of like a floating feeling. So that's all I did there. And then the lead guitar, I think this is pretty much just the same thing. It's like a just a preset, the American Clean preset that I used before. Nothing special really. And then I use strip bus as just compressor to even it out. And reverb, or I'm sorry, not reverb, voice. That one, I'm not going to tell you what I did with that. I used Melodyne on that, and I used a secret plugin, which it's not really secret, but it's still in beta, so I'm not going to talk about it. But basically, all I did was I just did a little bit of EQing with it. I did some compression with it, and then I used like a doubling effect to make my voice sound doubled. That's about it. And as you see here, on most of the tracks, I have reverb going there, and on my reverb send, I'm using Valhalla Vintage Verb. Really cool plugin. I'm just using the 300 medium hall preset. This is just a really cool plugin. It works really well and it's cheap. You can see here I have it low cut at 90 hertz. I think that's the only thing I changed just to get rid of some of the rumble. But it, just sounds good. And let's see, anything else? Oh, also on the guitar, you see delay throw. So at some points, like at the very end, this goes up and it goes to here, which I have the Echoes plugin on there set to quarter notes. And then I have kind of like a tape delay sound with lots of wow and flutter. So normally you don't hear that much delay on there, but then when it gets to the end, you hear that like kind of repeats. Let me see if I can show it to you. Here we go. So you can hear that. I think there's like 2 or 3 points I do that during the song. I use that delay throw to kind of show how that gives it a little bit extra something, whatever. And then on the master bus, I had this Kolinov. I can't even pronounce this. But anyways, this is a really cool free compressor from Tokyo Don Labs. If you don't have this, download it because it's free and it's really, really clean. So if you don't want to like really change the sound, but you just want to, compress things a little bit, this would be what I recommend. After that, I had TV Real Bus, which I don't have on here, and also I'm using the multi-band compressor that comes with Cakewalk. And then finally, I'm using K-Clip here, and this is just to get the level up. I'm clipping it a little bit, but I didn't do too much because I don't want it to be distorted. I just want it to be louder. I took these off because they're like killing my CPU, and when I'm doing the screen capture with it, like my CPU is going through the roof, and I'm stuttering enough already. I don't need computer problems too. So basically, that's how I did this. I'm not sure if there's anything else as far as songwriting goes or mixing or production. I might have missed something, and if I have, please leave it in the comments below. I hope this answered all your questions. If it didn't, like I said, I always ask. And another thing I should say is I want to do more of these in the future, but I don't know what you guys want to see. So please, I'll leave a poll up above, but also leave something below if you have a request on like a type of song. I can't do any type of song, so if you're asking me like, please do like a country song, I don't know that much about country and I can't write country, or like, hey, do like a really heavy gent song. Unfortunately, I can't get a 7-string guitar, one of my 7-string guitars here to Japan, so like I can't do that kind of heavy stuff. But if you're like, hey, do like a hard rock song, or like, hey, do an Alan Holdsworth style fusion song, or like a blues song or jazz song, or classical music, ask and I'll try to do it. So I'm not going to say like I'm going to do it next month, but I'll try to get to it eventually. And if you have any other questions, leave them below. But for now, that's it. Thanks for watching. Give this a thumbs up, spread it around, and until next time, see you. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that video, please remember to thumbs it up, check out some of my other videos below, and don't forget, subscribe. Thanks. Bye.